Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have Dóra Marosvölgyi with us. She's into innovation management, social impact entrepreneurship, strategic foresight funding, and biz dev in the EU. She's founder and CEO at Dare Innovations. This pod is presented to you by podbury.com if you want to start or scale a podcast. Dóra, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hi, Charles. It's very nice to be here tonight. I'm based in Budapest. I don't know where the listeners are from, but it's evening for us. And as you mentioned, I'm founder and CEO of Dare Innovations. I founded this company because I'm passionate about deep tech innovation. And this is what we do. We build the muscles of those who are supporting startups primarily. So basically, we work with universities, incubators, and accelerators, working with them to build their incubation program and to seek good startups in their ecosystem, to identify projects to be commercialized, and then help them towards commercialization. So this is what we do. We also work with startups to have from the ground perspective what the startups need, and work with the international organizations like networks and EU-wide projects.
And is it like a consultancy firm? So you go and see these organisms or these incubators and help them scale their startups? Like, what do you help them precisely onto? And is it a consultancy firm in which you're selling your time?
Yes, it is an innovation management consultancy. So basically how it looks like, we work with emerging European universities. So first, we see what are their needs. So what are the processes that they need to commercialize? Starting from if they have the management support in the university. Do they have the needed structures? Do they have the technology support organization like the Technology Transfer Office, or someone who could help the researchers within the university? Do they have the structures like written processes, contracts, or like agreement templates, predefined processes that helps both the investors, the later investors, and then the startups understand what is ahead of them, what is the rule of the game, or is everything like tailor-made on a case-by-case basis? In the emerging European situation, it's rather the latter. So they don't have these processes. So this is where we come into the picture and help in consultancy how to build these structures up and how to support effectively these startups.
Right. And this wasn't your first startup. Tell us about your founder experience previously and what led you to that startup.
Previous to this, I worked for the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. And well, here I started up a startup support program, which is a pre-accelerator across Europe. It is called EIT Jumpstarter. So basically, the focus was on researchers, teams of researchers with an innovative idea, teaching them how to build their business model and how to do the validation. We also have them to validate, like connecting them to the universities or corporates based on what their business was about. And then we, if they prove to be a business case, then we also have them to start their business.
What problems are you seeing in deep tech startups in Europe?
Well, basically, there are more and more programs, European level programs, so meaning that they are public funded from the European Union in some form. So sometimes this public funding comes through the national government, through the member states. Sometimes there are EU programs for supporting the deep tech startups. So on one hand, there is an abundance of opportunities and sources. It is quite hard to navigate these programs, and more like mushrooming each day. On the other hand, these are like very demanding programs. So either they are like smaller ones providing smaller grants or tickets, and they are helpful if you want to start and do these very first steps of validation. But then when you want to test if your solution or technology works in the lab, or you would need more funding to do the research part, then you have less funding opportunities. And this is a bit of a vacuum space because investors are not yet interested in your solution, especially if you are in deep tech, because you still need to do the validation and the technology could fail. So you would need to see some kind of public funding. But if we go to a larger ticket size, then it's more competitive on the European level. So there are some initiatives which target different parts of Europe or like different sectors or industries. But in general, there is this valley of death where many of the startups fail because they cannot secure funding for themselves.
Right. And tell me about the incubators in universities. How does that work? Is it like the university funds allocated to innovation and new startups? Do all universities have incubators? Yeah, tell me about this ecosystem.
Yeah, this is a concept which is relatively still new in the emerging part of Europe. So we are talking about Central Eastern Europe and the Western Balkans. It is more advanced in the Western European countries like Spain, Germany, France, Italy. They have very good incubators within the university. And where do they get the funding from? It can be like blended, so partially university funding, big part are funded by the European Union, and also they have some corporate sponsors as well. In the emerging part of Europe, it's rather either national funding, because in the national strategy, there is funding for research and innovation. And so there are some incubators set up, or it is EU funding. When it is EU funding, usually the expectation is that at some point or after some point, these incubators become self-sustainable and would work also on a business way. So they have their own business model and clients and funding sources.
Right. And what makes an incubator or a university incubator successful vs one that doesn't produce any interesting or profitable startup?
I would say that one of the key things for success is the personnel. So they need to have educated and motivated person dedicated for actively searching for research within the university. So they understand what is the difference between general research result or one which could be commercialized and which has the potential. Then it is also very helpful if they have the structures established, the technology transfer office or an incubation center within the university, the better if they have both and they work together well. And also a key to success is if the faculties collaborate with each other, so that there are people on the startups team from different backgrounds. So the Faculty of Management or Business Administration also provides students, and like scientific faculties like biology, geography, they also have students in the startup. and they collaborate. And if they create this environment of creative thinking, then the startups to be born with a different skill set have more chances for success.
Right. And what would be the difference between a university incubator and a private one? Do you see more innovation in the latter?
Oh, that's a very good question. So actually, the main difference I would say is like the university incubator, they rather work with the university, students, university researchers. They have more tech, deep tech, compared to private ones with a general focus. So sometimes, and we also have privately funded ones with a specific industry focus. And if the industry is, for example, health tech or biotech, then they are also deep tech. But in general, the private ones, they want a return on investment and they want to have it quick. The university-based incubators also should have, but they are a bit more, how to say, like more supportive towards their own researchers, their own teams. They also want their success, but they have different set of KPIs than the private ones.
Give me examples of some startups that you helped go from 0 to 1 in the deep tech sector.
Oh, there is one very interesting. They are a Latvian startup and they develop a solution for ALS patients. So those patients who have multiple sclerosis. And basically their status is like they are developing this disease very quickly and they lose the ability to move very, very quickly, like within months, this can happen, this deterioration. And this startup, and they developed a hardware and a software solution for them to communicate, to use their brain waves to navigate around a specific software, and based on their brain waves, they can input certain actions into the software and thus can communicate. So this is a very exciting innovation, and I'm looking forward to see them on the market quite soon.
Quite fascinating, that startup. How do you see European startups being competitive on a worldwide level, for example, against US startups?
This is a very interesting question, because from the perspective of innovativeness of the technology and the idea, I think very, very competitive, like both of them are. The main difference is the mindset. So here we need to educate startups not to fear of failure. And this is a very important thing because we are educated, especially in Central Eastern Europe, that if you fail, then you are worth nothing. And this is something that they need to overcome. And this is embedded very, very deeply in these startups. So this is one of the main difference, that they do not have enough self-confidence to go on stage and sell their idea. Of course, there are some examples of good examples who are able to do this and who think differently. But in general, this is one of the points that they need to gain more confidence how to sell their idea effectively.
What type of goals do you have ahead of you for this year?
Ooh, very exciting. So on one hand, we are now working on a big project proposal for to develop a program for women entrepreneurs in the emerging part of Europe. So this is very exciting for me and also for my team because we are all women entrepreneurs. And we are very passionate about helping fellow women entrepreneurs from Central Eastern Europe. And other than this, the other direction that we are pivoting into is blue economy. So we work with the deep tech startups mainly from the health biotech field and energy, and now we are opening towards those in the blue economy field as well, out of passion again.
Very cool. What does that day to day in your life looks like?
Oh, very, very unpredictable, I would say. So I wake up, I have the plan for the day, and then something changes, like a startup calls, ask for some support. Then, of course, I help them. So a bit unpredictable these days, but I very much like this this wave of. And this is the startup world as well. So I enjoy
Right.
supporting them, helping them, and learning where they are.
And where can people find out more about you, Dora?
I would say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best, or our website, which is www.theirinnovations.eu, or Their Innovation on LinkedIn, or just search me on LinkedIn.